Hi, and welcome to my talk on how Odigo is transforming the customer experience with Couchbase. My name is Yanick, and I'm in charge of product engineering with Odigo. Now, in order to give you a bit of context of my talk, I need to speak a little bit on Odigo and what we do. We build and sell what is known as a contact center as a service. Now, for many of you, you would probably call this a call center. But as you know, most of the contactees, actually many of the contactees today, happen through digital channels, so email, chats, or interactive messages or that kind of things. So call center is actually a bit reductive. We handle about 3 billion interactions per year over, as I said, voice, email, chat, messaging, and many other channels. We have over 100,000 active users, so mostly agents, obviously. And we are present in many, many countries with 250 customers. And we are present in France mostly, but also in Spain, in the UK, and a few other countries around. Now, what is our customers, as you can see here, many of you will recognize some of these names anyway. So we have customers in the banking, insurance, public utilities, retail, trust, industry and media, and so on and so forth. The one thing I'd like to keep in mind as far as customers are concerned, right? So if you take almost any customer, take HSBC or Air France, right? There's several types of interactions we could have with these customers. Some of the interactions will be, not necessarily time bound, not necessarily have an urgency in terms of time. So you would like to call your bank for inquiring about a new loan or renewing your mortgage or something like this, right? But you can also have, and I think we can all relate to this, have calls that are much more, let's say, critical in nature, right? You have, your car just broke down in the middle of a busy highway and you need to call somebody to help you, your insurance or something else to help you. You're in a foreign city and your credit card just got stolen or lost or something like this, right? You would like to have somebody on the phone or in the chat pretty urgently, and time is critical in this case, right? And I'll come back to this for part of my speech. Now, this is myself. I'm Yanick. I'm head of product engineering at Odigo. Joined Odigo about 18 months ago, so just before that terrible pandemic that we're going through. And I have about 20 years of experience in delivering global software as a service products throughout the world. And I've been a customer, actually me or my teams have been customers of Couchbase since 2014, first as in a development shop, obviously, and then for large production customers as well. Now, let me get into how we use Couchbase and what is, the way we are, our product is set up and organized today. It's relatively straightforward. You have at the top a customer. So this customer is using, as I said, mostly voice right now, but increasingly a digital channel. And that customer wants to get in contact with an agent from a brand, right? Think Air France, think a bank, think a public service or something somewhere. Now, the core of the CCaaS product or any contact center product, in fact, is what we call the routing module. So routing module, the routing module's job is essentially to connect as efficiently as possible a customer with an agent, right? So think a typical interaction would be, all right, I've lost my credit card. So you either, chat with somebody, you send an email. Okay, maybe for a lost credit card, you wouldn't send an email. You would actually chat or call somebody, right? And this routing module is trying to in a best possible way, understand what's the intent of your call, what's the intent of the interaction that you are trying to make, and using today in most cases a static configuration, trying to connect you to an agent. So again, taking an example of somebody losing a credit card or trying to open a new account or trying to renegotiate a mortgage, that routing module would say, okay, it looks like the guy punched in the telephone, option 1 and option 3 in the menu. Option 3 means he's lost his credit card. Let me route this person to the next available agent, or putting on hold if no agent is available. Right, so pretty straightforward. Obviously, a CCaaS module does a lot of other things. There's a console for the agents to view the interactions, to take the call, to hang up on the call, to take notes during the call, to view customer information, so on and so forth. There's also part of the system which is about supervising. You think of a large contact center and you need to supervise. Are these agents taking too many calls, not enough calls? Do we need to rebalance somehow this configuration? But really the core of the system is about this routing module, taking this largely static configuration today and routing it to an agent. These agents then, again, either on the phone or through a chat system, for example, or through an email system, is taking this interaction, might be looking up this interaction in Couchbase today. This is how we use Couchbase today. So looking up this interactions from this particular customer. Has this customer had several other interactions before? And then try to figure out the best way to actually handle this call or this interaction, right? This chat and so on and so forth, right? So that's the way CCaaS systems have been working for quite some time, and it's the way most of our customers are using it today, right? Now, the world, however, is changing, as you all know. So first thing first, we've all had this experience before, right? You try to punch in a number 1 and number 3, and then you would really like option number 6, but option number 6 is not there. Right, or whatever else, or you're lost in this complex menu that sometimes you have in front of you, and obviously the systems nowadays that used to exist for many decades are completely not satisfactory anymore, especially for the young generations. And on the right hand side, as you can see here, there's still a lot of emails and phones, but more and more people will contact their contact center, the brand, through things like instant messaging, like chatbots, like applications, social networks, and lots of other types of channels like this, right? And this is both actually a change and an opportunity for us and for our customers, actually, the brands, to change the way they interact with their own customers, right? And let me just explain a little bit how that would work. So again, here I'm going from the customer on the left-hand side. The customer is using some channels, and sometimes for the same type of issue or question, he or she might be using several channels, right? You might start with an email and then move on to a chat or a phone calls or whatever it may be, right? And from there on, that interaction starts, and our job and really the core part of our system is trying to understand the intent of this customer and trying to, based on our understanding of this intent, is trying to route that interaction to either the best available agent, right? Actually, the best possible agent, whether available or sometimes not available. And I'm going to go back to this, or sometimes to a self-service as well, right? In many cases, your question, your interrogations, your urgency can be answered by a bot, for example, right? Or by receiving a link on which you just click and reset your password, for example, right? You don't necessarily need to talk to an agent to reset your password. But this is a trivial example, but you can think of many, many examples where actually by better understanding the context and what the customer is asking, we actually can, or the brand can actually send that request to a bot. Like think of, maybe the credit card, lost credit card again. You call us in this case from, I don't know, your personal cell phone. This is the personal cell phone that we have as a bank in our files, a customer file, and then we can have a secure interaction to just cancel the credit card, for example, right? Or cancel a particular purchase that you haven't made or anything like this, right? Not necessarily talking to an agent. So again, most of the innovations today happen right this way in the middle, what we call here understanding, guiding, and routing to the right agent, right? Maybe I'll take an example that usually when we use this example talks to most people. You've made a travel reservation, right? You've made a travel reservation to go to your holiday or whatever. And something happens and you need to modify that reservation. As most of us know, it's not trivial to change reservation for many reasons, bad or good, some security reasons, for example, right? It's not always easy and trivial to just change the reservation into a different day, a different person, sometimes a different itinerary altogether, right? So you are going to have to connect with your contact center, the contact center of your favorite airline, to change that reservation, right? Now, several cases can happen. You chat and you say, I need to change my reservation. Now, think about this, right? That reservation could be, a very simple one. I need to change it into, I want to go the next day, for example, and that day happens to be 3 months ahead of time, right? That's relatively simple. Maybe we can send you to self-service. If that reservation is a more complex one, with a multiple complex itinerary, for example, right, you probably need to talk to an agent. And then some other sub cases complexity can happen as well. Some of us will make the reservation, we change that reservation several months ahead of time. And some other one, because of an urgency or because we're not terribly organized, just change it the day before the departure, right? And obviously, depending on which case you are you a customer that travels with this airline frequently? Is your reservation complex, not complex? And is your reservation, for tomorrow or versus 3 months from now? Obviously, the handling of that reservation is the contact center is going to be different, right? We might want to route you to the emergency contact center if you need to change your reservation for tomorrow. You might want to contact you to send you to the good customer part of the contact center if you are actually a good customer and being traveling on that airline frequently, right? So again, this is just one example, but you can think of many examples like this, right? Of how the core of the problems for us, or the core of the innovation for us, is on understanding the intent of the customer, having as much context as possible. Who is that customer? What calls or interaction has he or she made before that particular interaction, to route that interaction to the best possible agent or to a self-service chat or agent, right? So with this in context in mind, how do we change? How we are changing our products to include, a better, a smarter routing, if you want, right? And what we really mean by this is dynamic routing. So it's not static anymore. It's really about taking this interaction, trying to understand this interaction, looking up previous interactions to try to make sense as much as we can from this incoming request for interaction, and route it to the best possible service. And again, some of that service could be self-service, some of that service could be an agent, or sometimes, you know, an agent that's actually not available, but it happens to be the agent that handled your previous call yesterday, right? And you'd rather actually wait 10 more minutes and wait to that specific agent rather than talk to a generic agent that has absolutely no idea of what you did before and what your questions were yesterday, right? And so the way we have changed our system in that respect is, you know, we're introducing some AI, and you know, the TensorFlow here. I'm not going to get too much in detail because that's not so much the point of this presentation, but we are introducing AI to try to understand as much as possible the intent, right? Do we want to, does the customer wants to, you know, cancel his credit card, cancel a particular purchase is made, change his ticket for tomorrow, or change his ticket for 6 months from now, right? And obviously that would be different answers from the call center or the contact center. And I think that this is the particular interest of this talk here is how we are introducing Couchbase. So not so much anymore after the fact, after the routing, but right in the heart of the routing itself. So in real time, live, when the interaction happens, we apply a bit of AI and we look at interactions and customer information. That actually says interaction, but it also could say customer information here, to make the best possible decisions on how to handle that interaction, that call, right? That could be, we have, again, it's a change of a ticket. We understood a change of a ticket. That customer is, you know, not particularly in a hurry, and there's no particular interaction before. Let's route it to the default, you know, changing ticket desk in that particular airline because there's no urgency, right? It could be that because we see there's been many interaction in the last 24 hours, for example, or the ticket is very, very urgent, so it's for tomorrow morning, we need to route it to the emergency 24/7 desk that handles urgent interactions, right? So as you can see here, we have changed the positioning of how you use Couchbase, right? We used to use Couchbase once interactions are routed and the agent has, let's say, a bit of time, right? Because there's no, you know, sudden urgency anymore to look up your profile, understand what's going on, what interaction have you had in the past with this or another agent, and take your call. Nowadays, what we are doing is putting Couchbase in the heart of the system and have that routing that needs to happen in a few milliseconds. Both take the intent as much as possible detected by the AI and look up that intent against other intents in Couchbase, either for this profile or similar profile, to see how, in the best possible way, we're going to route this interaction to the best possible agent. Again, either a emergency part of the system, the same agent you had yesterday, because in the interaction we saw that you were talking to agent John Doe yesterday, and therefore instead of sending you to somebody else, we'd like to rather send you to John Doe, possibly even decide that, look, we're going to take your call, John Doe is going to call you back tomorrow, right? Rather than having to talk to another agent again and re-explaining your problem again, right? That's the one of the most irritating point of the customers. And now, keeping this in mind, right? So this is the routing module. This is the heart of the system, and in many cases, it's actually mission critical for our customers, right? And think of you as the customer here. You're, one of these cases where you have either a health emergency, your car's broken down on a busy highway, your car just got stolen, or whatever it may be, right? That system needs to be up and running and needs to be fast and handling transactions fast. And this is the reason why we decided putting this in the middle to use Couchbase, right? Based on the experience that we have other experiences, as I said, I've worked with Couchbase before in my previous company, which happens to be to give another talk in this Couchbase Connect. We are, confident that Couchbase is the right solution for us for 3 reasons. It is scalable. It's extremely scalable, and keep in mind we are handling. We must handle billions of interactions, right? And in near real time. So when I say near real time, it's probably less than 100 milliseconds. So we need to handle these billions of interaction in near real time. So it needs to be very fast, and it needs to be reliable, right? If imagine yourself being the customer on the busy side of this highway, and the call center doesn't take your call, or the chat doesn't get through because that routing is rebooting and trying to restore the database or whatever it may be. That's not very good, right? And our customers would be very our customers as brands would be very upset, and you as an end customer would be not terribly impressed by that brand, right? So again, putting Couchbase, putting these interactions, the customer as part of this routing, as part of the decision that we make in near real time to take this interaction, route it to the proper agent or the proper channel, right? And these are we did a choice before for Couchbase because of that the way the interactions are flexible, and that's good. Interaction can be have various shapes, obviously, based on who's the branded, right? It can be just like 2 or 3 fields. It can be 20 or 25 different fields because an interaction needs to have a time, departure date, a ticket number, a level of fidelity of the customer's name. It could be the departure city is obviously important. The arrival city is very important stuff, and that would be very different from interaction which is about your national insurance, for example, right? So the flexible way, important. However, to me, the USP of Couchbase as a system is really scalability, reliability, and very fast. And this is why we are actually putting it at the heart of our system. Now, to be honest, there are many people in my company, but also we had the same questions in our previous company, that starts to realize that suddenly this component becomes actually part of the mission critical part of our system, right? And it's not only about sending reports or handling offline emails and stuff like this. It's part of the core of the system that needs to be up and running 24/7, and which is a huge level of availability, right? And some of them are nervous, and I'm telling them, look, I've been using Couchbase before. It works. It's variable, it's fast, it's scalable. We're going to be using obviously cross data center replication, so that if one goes down, the other one can then take over, and we're confident that is the solution that works for us. Now, if I move on to another part, which is why we are using Couchbase 7 and why we're moving to Couchbase 7, and that will be of interest to some people in the audience, I believe. The other things that some of our customers are nervous about, and people internally are nervous about, right, is the fact that that Couchbase cluster, if you want, to the set of Couchbase server is going to be shared amongst all our customers, right? We're not going to have a cluster per customer. That wouldn't make any sense. It's a cluster. It's a replicated, active type of cluster, but it's one cluster for our customers, right? For pretty much all our customers, there might be per region, but at least a large number of customers will be running on one of these clusters. And the question we get all the time is, okay, but how do I make sure that my data doesn't get mixed up with some other brand's data, right? I do in this example, we have Acme, how to make sure that it doesn't end up with Air France's customer or with I don't know, whatever bank or social security. And keep in mind that as a software as a service provider, we have both our customers' data, right? So the name and the telephone numbers and stuff of Air France, the BNP, and people like this, right? But also our customers' customer data, right? Which is obviously much more sensitive as far as our brand customers are concerned, right? And in fact, for many of you, at least in Europe, where we are relatively dominant, probably we have our name and sometimes your phone number in our systems, right? Because at least in France and some other countries, we have social security, for example, right? And most of us have a social security number, and are contacting the social security regularly, right? Or imagine all these brands that we have there, right? And obviously, it's very sensitive for these brands to make sure that their data is separated from another customer's data, right? They're fine with having a multi-tenant solution, but they want to make sure that it's separated at the core. And this is where scopes and collection are coming into play. And I'm not getting too much in the detail of this example here, but you can see that we have a scope called Acme. We'll have another scope called Company ABC, and another scope called Company 123, and this scope will be separated, right? There is no need for us anyway to look around several scopes. So scope Acme is enough. Any interaction for the scope Acme here in this case is enough for us. And we are going to be embedded it in a scope and make sure the scopes are separated for each of our customers. And again, it's extremely important for our customers to understand this and to understand that at the core, it's not only us can have bugs in the system, the database system that we use are separating this database cleanly. And that's something that was probably pretty critical for us to have at some stage for the larger customer. Another thing that we are going to be using is full text search in the routing module, and actually in this AI component that I was mentioning. We're going to be looking for interactions about, this is a case of a Lowe's credit card in Atlanta in the US, right? And what other information do we know about this? There's a Lowe's credit card in Atlanta. Oh, but I have this contact number, this contract number. I have the email of that person. I have a lot of information here that I can relate to, and make sure again that ACE is routing to the right person, right? So not only looking for John Doe as the email address, but also as there's a Lowe's credit card, and it's happened to be in Atlanta. And by the way, somewhere in the interaction, there's a contract number, right, which we can relate to, and then obviously send this to an agent or a desk that has all information possible to best serve your request as a customer, right? So again, welcome Couchbase 7. Full text search is great. Scope and collections, and mostly scopes in this case, are critical for us, and this is why we're moving on to Couchbase 7. Now, that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to finish on a quote from my favorite CEO, which is, as usual, the current one. I hope he's listening to this. And maybe just focus on that text that I've highlighted in blue there. We are leveraging cutting-edge technology with data-driven, personalized customer experience, right? And this is, I think, probably what is the core of this talk here. Is we're using Couchbase behind that technology, and this data-driven, personalized customer experience is really about what I just explained. And Couchbase is obviously a very important providers for us on the technology side, right? That's it for me. As I said, my name is Yanick. You can contact me in this address here, either on LinkedIn or my email address. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.